Let's now publish the web application we have been developing into Microsoft Azure. Before we start configuring the Azure, we need to make a small modification to the application. So it has to do with the port. We need to make this so the port variable is fetched from environment if it's available from there. This has to do with the Azure deployment. We need to make this in order for it to work. So, like we learned from the version control section of this course, we add the modified file and then commit the change. Say fetch port. Right. Then we push the change. Right. So now let's refresh this and verify that our change has been made. Yes. And then let's go ahead and create a new resource in Azure. So we are going to go ahead and create a new web application. Let's use the Azure for Students Starter subscription. I will use a resource group that I have already made. If you don't have a resource group available, you can create a new by clicking this button here. Let's give a name to our application. Now let's publish it as using the code option. Then let's select the Node 12 runtime stack. Now we need to use Windows as the operating system in order to connect this with our code in GitLab. Azure doesn't support GitLab repositories with the Linux option. Let's go ahead and select North Europe here. So now we are essentially creating a resource, a Windows based computing resource on the North Europe region. I will go ahead and create it. There is also these additional options, but we don't need them for the purposes of this demonstration. Now we can see that Azure is initializing the resource, and it shouldn't take a long while. There is also this notification panel that can be used to see the ongoing operations. Okay, now the deployment is complete. We can go to our resource. So the next thing to do will be to connect our repository to this web app service. Right now it doesn't have anything. It doesn't have any code to run, even though it says that it's running. We can use this browse button to access the URL that Azure has provided us, and well, right now it says that the app service is running, but now we need to go ahead and deploy our code to the service. So we can do that by going to the deployment center here. Now we need to select external Git as the code source, as there is no option for GitLab available yet. So in this continuous deployment section, so we go ahead and select the external Git. Then we input the repository URL. We can see it from here. Let's take this HTTPS URL here. Then let's tell Azure that we want the code from the master branch, and currently it is the only branch we have, and it is a public repository. So now the settings are correct. We can go ahead and save our settings. And now Azure will start to deploy our code from the provided version control URL. So we have this log screen here, and we can see that it's now running the deployment. And it probably shouldn't take a long while. Yes, now it's active. It might take a little while to update here, but let's see if it would already work. Yes, it actually already works. So now the application has been deployed to the web app service correctly. And let's quickly see what more we have in this web app user interface. We have ability to stop the service, to share it, and do all kinds of things. We have this activity log here, and as you can see, there is lots of different options available. We will not use all of them during this course, but when we start to implement the automatic deployment pipeline, we will use some of the development tools here. For example, the advanced tools. We will most likely be using that. And yes, this is how you deploy the application. And let's quickly see how to delete the application once we don't, or the app service when we don't need it anymore. So it can be done by clicking this delete button and then providing the application name to this input box. So now we are going to delete our application from Azure, and as you can see, it is really quick and efficient to create and delete these kinds of services in the cloud environments. So it is nice to experiment different things, and you don't have to commit for a long time. You can just use this resource for like 10 minutes and then delete it like I did. So now when I refresh it, probably says that the resource doesn't exist anymore. Yes, but yes, this is how you set up Azure Web App Service and run a Node.js application with it.